What's good, y'all? It's your boy Chris here, back with another video. This is episode 13, season 2, and today we're actually going to be talking about some crazy stuff. So I've been away from the podcast for maybe a month, right? And so much has happened, so much has changed since then. Especially more specifically, the artificial intelligence revolution that's going on, this AI arms race that is currently taking place. So here on the screen, we have a website called Blockade Labs, right? And what I want to talk about in this episode is the advances in AI and how that is actually going to affect gaming. We saw how they jumped into the metaverse. Everyone was going into this metaverse. You had Nvidia with the Omniverse, Microsoft with their avatars or teams, and how they're talking about how the metaverse is going to change things. The metaverse ties into where we are now, what we're witnessing with artificial intelligence now. It's just that they didn't happen exactly at the same time, but this stuff was being developed around the same time, if you know what I mean. Metaverse popped off first and became known everywhere. People think that the metaverse is sort of like a fad. I don't think so. I think AI, this boom in the AI space that we're seeing now is a part of that, and they're going to tie into each other somehow. And by talking about that, came across a few really nice resources regarding artificial intelligence in gaming, more specifically creation work, creators. On this website, we have a background, and it's showing all different worlds, different style worlds, like anime worlds or fantasy worlds, worlds that take place into winter, worlds that are in the forest. And it spins around. And in front of this, the background, craft and experience in one click. Infinite 360 worlds are here with Skylab. So if we take a look and scroll down to create a virtual space in seconds, and you can see here that they're moving around, move like they create this mushroom space, and they're entering in text. It's very similar to how ChatGPT is, where you can enter in a text, it responds back to you. Or if you're familiar with Midjourney like I am, you enter in a text, maybe you want a vector art, maybe you want something that's more photorealistic. You enter the text of how you want it, and it will give you that image. Here, Blockade Labs, what they're doing is they are doing the same thing that like Midjourney is doing, but now they're creating it to where it targets 3D worlds. And they're not the only one doing this. There's a few others that's doing this too as well. But this right here could ultimately change the way how video games are made. And then that ties into the world of the metaverse, how that virtual world that everyone wants to build, how we're going to make it easier to design and program for others, and how that's going to tie into an economy that's going to grow in this alternate world, right, where people can go to the internet, right? That's all it is. It's just the internet, but it's in a 3D setting. Taking a sip of my coffee here, so excuse the pauses. So if we keep scrolling down, we get a new kind of paintbrush, right? They're calling this the paintbrush. So if anyone's familiar with 3D programming, you have all these different paintbrushes, whether you want to mold, design, sculpt design, whatever it is, right? This is like a paintbrush on steroids per se, with only words. which is crazy. It's just crazy. And these are the different worlds that people designed here. They posted their designs on Twitter. Go here. There's more. We could just keep scrolling. So I'm going to do here, what I'm going to do is actually go up, back up, click on Conjure Your World. And this is a demo. They're the same story. We're extra busy today. That's the first thing you get on the as soon as you start the application, which is, it's very similar to what ChatGPT was going through in Midjourney as well. Describe your world. So here we can actually describe how we want the world to look. Dream up your world, right? So we get this text box at the bottom, max characters of 420 words or letters, and we can describe what we want. And then we can choose a style. So we can choose as digital painting, fantasy landscape, anime art style, surreal, scenic, nebula, realistic, sci-fi, dreamlike, sky, oil painting, so on and so forth. We got a low poly. So let's just say, let's do something. I don't know, a Super Mario. I don't know, mushroom world. I'm gonna do a comma, and then let's do something like waterfall in the background. Hit generate, and we're gonna choose a style here. I'm gonna do a fantasy landscape. Hit generate. Let's see what comes up. It's gonna take its time to generate. Get this progress bar. While this is generating, I can probably come up with a better idea. Let's see. Okay, so it's still loading. So what it's probably doing is contacting a more high-powered computer over the cloud that is generating the feedback back to me and handling the job. Whether it's like a Kubernetes cluster that's going on, whatever it is, right? It's doing all that. Now, what cloud platform they're probably using, who knows? It could be Azure, it could be AWS, it could be Oracle. We don't know. Well, I don't know, because I haven't done that much research on it yet. But it's processing what it needs to do, and yeah. Now, while that's processing, we can actually scroll around at the world that's already presented to us, and we're giving this 3D world. It reminds me of Google Earth in a way, how you can move around and turn around 360 degrees. So yeah, this was probably just a random generated world, but as our world is being generated, we have to wait. So while we wait on that, I could just talk about other things in artificial intelligence. This stuff is really early. It's see the huge potential in it, but it's gonna take some time. So here it is. Our world has been generated. So it looks like what it did was it grabbed the color scheme of the Super Mario world, right, with my mushroom prompts, and it didn't do a bad job at it. Now here's the thing, it looks 3D, but really what it is it's a 2D image wrapped around in a 360 degree format to make it look like it's 3D. As a designer, if you look real close, you can see how low res it gets, and you can actually see the grain in the image. Now that's that, right? We can come up with all different types of worlds. Let's say that took a while, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to keep the podcast short. That actually took a while. But yeah, you get something like this. You can come up with many different designs, right? So this is one. Now, there's another platform called Opus. So let's go to Opus real quick. So Opus, Their technology turns, text to video games, metaverses, simulations, worlds, story, movies. And it looks like they're targeting towards the gamers, the artists and musicians, the storytellers, and the performance. How that's going to work, I'm not sure. I've already signed up for the early access, but if we scroll, we can see here we're getting they have lighting, camera control, the terrain, trees and grass, houses and buildings, roads, humanoid characters, animations, right? This is going to change everything in the game. The latest from Opus. And is this just work from Opus? Which we might actually want to follow that. Let's click on this watch demo. Let's see what this technology actually does. So I have the sound off. We want to play the video. So from the looks of what it's doing, it looks like they are entering text, prompting, the prompt engineering. That's the quote unquote term that's being used right now. And as you're looking at this, you're seeing them, how they're able to prompt and pretty much storytell how they want their worlds to be. So a recently built road abruptly came to a halt, only furthering slightly in two opposite directions. At the end and left branch directions, near the end and left branch stood a detached garage, alongside which was a small house with matching roof. So they're describing how they want their world to look, and it's coming along pretty well. This is where I see where the metaverse is actually going to be taking. You're going to be doing it further. It's going to be this, where people can design their own worlds with words. And if needed, some people may need transcribers, right? Or people who can prompt worlds better. Hence the prompt engineer role. Chapter 3, Coffee. The sky was clear. It was a small road. It continued on the other side as it crossed the main road, forming an intersection with wet patches from the rain. The dense cluster of building forming the business district seemed deserted. And here it is. You're getting the world as the person is describing the world. And that's just crazy, right? You get the whole city, you get the sky, you get the roads, you get the even the puddles, right, that he described on the roads because of it being deserted. And he just goes on and on and on and on with the world, how to describe it. Let's see if we skip some of this. Look at that. That is crazy. Then he has the trees in it. You can even see the wind moving the leaves in the trees. This is where I think world creation is going to come in play. Especially like for video games, like world creation is going to be like this. Look at that, even the person. And then you can walk around the world you just created. And this is how I believe video games are going to be designed. I don't believe I believe most of it will be designed this way. In the smaller details of things, any corrections, that's when the artist can go in with fine detail with their precision, right? But that's Opus. sort of like a wait list. But just think, this just won't change just gaming. You know, this will change film. This is going to change advertising. Script writers. So now onto this next tool we call Spline. Spline is they're using the power of AI to design third dimension worlds, which is pretty much what we're going through. But here you can actually play it too as well, right? So you can design the world, but then you can go in and create it. So what's cool about this platform, I can actually go in it. They have a wait list too as well, but I can actually go in it, right? Click AI. And what you can do is you can generate 3D objects and scenes by describing what you want to create. So here you said create a grid of 8 cubes. It created a grid of 8 cubes. Edit, modify objects, apply materials, add lighting and more. Randomize the cubes. You know, it'll randomize the cubes. Experiment, collaborate with your teammates, and watch your creations come to life in real time. Add physics to the 3D cubes, and so it adds physics to the scene. And then what's cool is you can apply textures to these 3D models that you created with text. And then this is just gonna change the game. It's just not just gaming. You know, that's a huge one, but it's everything. Now, there is a spot on this website, I did just go through it, where I can test it out. This looks like React. Yeah, this is React. So you can see they have the React code here. So you will need to learn a little bit of 3D design skills in a way. But I feel like this will evolve into just describing what you want in the near future. So here it is. This is here's a little design they did, right? I click get started. I have to log in. Man, I swore there was a spot here where I can actually click on the actual game. It's probably a wait list now. Even I was just on it. Yeah, so that's that. And this stuff is just crazy, right? Like, this stuff is just crazy. You'll just type in AI news. One day ago, Google CEO Sundar says your Google search is going to start including chat AI in it. CNBC 2 days ago, Mark Zuckerberg is spending most of his time on AI, says Meta CTO. That's the Chief Technology Officer. See what this is about. So remember, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, he jumped into this Metaverse thing, right? I don't think there was a huge mistake when he jumped into the Metaverse. I think it was a little early, but I think part of the Metaverse was missing was the AI revolution that's here now. I think Metaverse and AI goes hand in hand to stuff like this. So it says Metaverse CEO Mark Zuckerberg, CPO Chris Cox, and CTO Andrew Bosworth are spending the most of their time working on the company's new AI unit, Bosworth said in an interview with Nikkei Asia Wednesday. The tech giant, which owns Facebook and Instagram, announced a product group in February that is focused on generative AI. So generative AI is exactly what we just went through, what I've just introduced here with you all. Being able to generate content with words through AI. This is where their jump kind of got crazy. Meta's Reality Labs division, home to the company's Metaverse technologies and projects, posted a $13.72 billion loss in 2022. That is crazy. While Bosworth said some of that work will benefit the Metaverse, the digital world the company has said it's working to build, it shows how important AI is to Meta, as other large companies like Microsoft and Alphabet also invest in the space. So I'm not going to go all into this because it's pretty much rehashing what we've been talking about on this podcast. But what I can say is, this is a very important field to really pay attention to. Now, what I'm doing with AI. So I've been creating Medium blogs. Medium. And it's pretty much like how-to articles, how to configure Microsoft Azure, tutorials on Azure, how to create virtual networks on Azure, how to configure budgets on Azure, things of that sort. What I have been doing though is using Midjourney to generate images for me. So I do the text and everything by myself. When I need content, keep the reader engaged, need some original content, especially with images, I go to Midjourney, enter in words of how I want the image to be, and it generates the content for me. So this image right here was completely done with artificial intelligence. The only thing I've added was the Azure not VPC, but virtual VNet icon in Photoshop. And then I just go in and then creating a resource group. This image here was done by artificial intelligence, Midjourney. I snap these myself. AI, right? This image was done in AI. Artificial intelligence. This one was done in artificial intelligence. I just used some of my graphic design skills, added the Azure logo on the helmets, and the Let's Go text bubble right there. Artificial intelligence. More AI. So, artificial intelligence. It's crazy. These are prompts that I've created to a specific theme that could match the setting that I had for this article. So this was the first article. Then it goes to the second one, how to configure budgets. This one I did less of 3D design work with Midjourney and just used like flat designs, something more straightforward. A design like this, I literally asked Midjourney to come up with something like budgeting of some sort, incorporating Microsoft Azure in it. And it looks like an Azure image of some sort. It doesn't make sense, right? You have something that looks like a calculator, some folded up paper or whatever, but it looks like Microsoft would design something like this for their Azure platform. This was done with artificial intelligence too as well. Specific even to the people's skin color. I was very specific with that too as well. A lot of this that like this image right here is not randomized at all. I specifically asked it to give me something just like this. And this is where designers and everything, this is where design is going to come into play. And yeah, guys, this is pretty much all I have for this podcast. It's pretty long, 25-minute podcast. I usually don't do something like this. But yeah, this is pretty crazy. Now there's people holding conferences about how to make this a responsible piece of technology. Article 1 hour ago, 3 ways businesses can prepare as generative AI transforms enterprises. This image was, So I'm looking on this news article right now. This image was designed in Midjourney. Image credit Midjourney. So it's not even no designer did this. AI is changing everything, and here is where I want to get to at the end of this podcast. Why data is the skeleton key. Think about it like this. Generative AI is quite literally data driven. To be able to output anything at all requires a wealth of data primed for analysis. That's why investing in the building and maintenance of a clear data corpus will be the most important piece of a successful future in generative AI. It can massively accelerate the learning capabilities of generative AI-based solutions when data is as valid, accurate, complete, consistent, and uniform as possible across the entire enterprise. An intelligent generative AI tool can serve as the de facto digital assistant we always dreamt of, serving teams across all departments and functions. Any question may finally be answered. Data is going to be even more important than it already is now because of this. Think about all of the designs, all of the dreams and worlds that people create using this AI, the photos, the 3D worlds. Where do you think all this stuff is going to be stored? It's going to be data somewhere being stored on the database, right? How is the artificial intelligence going to learn? Through data analysis and machine learning. This is where, if anyone is trying to get into artificial intelligence, and especially in the cloud, definitely look into either AWS or Microsoft Azure. I'm going to do Microsoft Azure. Data engineer. Data engineer training. Just so we can get to a page. Azure Data Engineer Associate. If you're not familiar with Azure, I really recommend going to the fundamentals exam. So, learning path, how to build data analytics solutions on Azure Synapse. Like this teaches you all about handling data in the Microsoft Azure environment. Azure is their cloud environment. For those who don't know, it's Microsoft's cloud environment. So I'm hitting Azure. Down here I have administrator, AI engineer, right? We're going to click that. And then you have like data scientist roles as well. We got the data engineer. So we click AI engineer, right? These are the exams and the certificates. So you have the Azure AI fundamentals. That's the AI 900 for beginners. The intermediate is Microsoft certified Azure AI engineer associate. This most likely goes into the machine learning concepts that I was talking about. Plan and manage an Azure AI solution, implement image and video processing solutions, natural language processing, mining solutions, conversational AI solutions. Now, we get out of that, we go to database administrators. Someone needs to be able to administrate the databases with all of this data. Here's a database administrator associate. We have the data analytics. Boom. So if you're wanting to start out the beginning level, Microsoft Certified Azure Data Fundamentals. It pretty much teaches you the fundamentals on core data concepts, right? Identifying considerations for relational data on Azure. Describe considerations for working with non-relational data on Azure. So relational database is pretty much a table. SQL works with relational databases. Non-relational databases are like NoSQL, so anything from MongoDB, things of that nature. Document databases, graph databases. Those are non-relational databases. Describe the analytics workload on Azure. Right? We got data engineer, which we just went over. So those who want to get into data and see data as well, I see data as a really good field to get in, especially like now. Like data is only getting more important. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This article came in at a right time because I really want to talk about that, what we just talked about, why data is the skeleton key. Because data is, without data, the machine learning process cannot exist, and AI is pretty much nothing. Here, invest in high quality machine learning ready data. With generative AI, you won't need an abundance of data scientists on hand to build relevant, intelligent, and insights. Instead, you will need a few experts who understand the underlying technologies of generative AI, such as large language models, which, they say you don't need an abundance of data scientists, which, you probably won't, because AI is pretty much, it helps organizations focus on the more important things, right? Is it going to go to zero? No. People is going to be needed everywhere. But again, you're going to need individuals to manage that data, being able to mine through that data, being able to teach the artificial intelligence, learn, being able to put it through learning to better understand things. For example, hands, right? With Midjourney is crazy. It's supposed to be 5 fingers. You end up with a person with like 10 fingers, or fingers being detached from their hands, or their hands just look weird. You have to put that model through learning, teach it, go through data, have it relearn what hands look like. AI can do all the analysis, leaving leaders to focus on making the right decisions for the business. So yeah, this is pretty much it. Not much else. This was a very long video. This was like 33 minutes. Data decision makers. So data is a huge thing. Now, that's the AI part, as far as wanting to get into data. But then you have cloud computing gaming, cloud gaming, right? Yeah, this Metaverse thing that's going on too as well. Whereas all of that, it's, let me just say, it's an abundance of opportunity in this field. And whether you want to go the data route, whether you want to go the network engineering route, whether you want to go in the security route, being the architect of that entire infrastructure. It's all here. It's all here. It's all here, man. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, Microsoft doing their thing, Apple doing their thing, somewhere, Amazon doing their thing, Google doing their thing, Meta doing their thing. Everyone is in on this. Similar to what the metaverse was, but the metaverse was just missing this piece, and this piece is finally here. Now you can mix them together now. So this is going to be huge. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope you all have a good one, and I will see you all next time. See you later.